8 habits that separate the rich from the poor. How to live a rich life. Our habits can program us into poverty and prevent us from earning more. Here is a list of habits that separate the rich people from the poor ones. 1. Uncleanliness. There is always dirt where poverty is. Greasy oilcloths on the tables, dust, old wallpaper, dirty floor, torn old slippers, dirty mirrors and bathrobes, piles of forgotten trash placed in the corners, ungroomed yard, etc. Updating and washing all of this almost does not cost money. Everyone has a rag and water, but poor people prefer not to notice it. By the way, this is where the line between intelligent low income and the poor passes. The unpretentious, but well-groomed teacher's apartments never create such an impression. The rich habit with regards to this is very simple. See the dirt, remove it. Do not live with it, do not turn it into part of your life, and do not pretend that it does not exist, but take a rag and wipe the table. Or hire someone to do this for you. 2. Bad habits. The habits of people who are poor in consciousness, and permanent poverty at its worst is precisely low awareness, is aimed at destroying oneself. That is, drinking in excess, eating mindlessly, smoking, watching too much TV, etc. The habits of people with rich thinking are aimed at creating themselves, reading, playing sports, communicating with smart people. In general, do everything so as not to waste your time in vain. Of course, almost everyone has bad habits, but their ratio between the poor and the rich differs significantly. Depending on what they are, our habits will either make us or break us. We become what we repeatedly do. Sean Covey. 3. Empty leisure. Chronic poverty always pushes on rest, where the soul and body are degrading, reinforcing a vicious circle. There is no new knowledge and experience, there is no resource, there is no way to reach a new level. Theater tickets can now be found almost for nothing. To marvel at beautiful parks, you need to pay only for the fare, but most people prefer TV shows, bars, and taking it lying down. A sign of wealth not only externally, but also internally, is interesting in developing leisure, from which it feels like living even more. In other words, it is thirst for knowledge of life, not down the road. 4. Poor speech. This is a tone, talking with a claim, talking in elevated tones, inability to convey a thought without strong language, junk words. In principle, it's the inability to convey one's thoughts. Speech is why we can instantly make an impression of a person. After all, after a minute of conversation, the person's level of education, his upbringing, and our desire to be near him becomes clear. Certainly, the circle of communication, books, and leisure influences speech most of all. And, of course, in permanent poverty, these 3 components leave much to be desired. 5. Living day to day without goals and plans. Well, the final touch will be a purposeless life in which there is a refrigerator, a roof, and no thoughts about the future. It seems to be the poorest habit of all possible. Purposefulness, desires, and plans for life, this is the ticket by which we go to a new level of well-being, and in return, we give up our laziness and sense of comfort. Surprisingly, the more material a person has to pay, the lower the likelihood that he will buy it. Excessive comfort is an ungrateful personal capital that not only stops us but also makes us go backwards. That is why low-income people spend their money on luxuries they can't afford, and richer people invest in impressions and future endeavors. 6. Blaming others for failures. Poor people always blame others for their failures. How many people do you know who are constantly being disturbed by someone or something? The rich, on the other hand, take responsibility for everything that happens, and in difficult situations, they study the cause of this situation to prevent it in the future. 99% of the success of your life is directly up to you. Chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. Warren Buffett. 7. No savings for a rainy day. Poor people have no cash savings and live paycheck to paycheck. If you do not know how to save money in principle, you cannot become rich. In the event of a difficult situation, the poor will be left with nothing. The rich person will have reserves and assets that will give him time and allow him to calmly solve any difficult situation. The poor do not think about what awaits them next. 8. Wrong environment. Poor people surround themselves with poor people. There is a saying, if you want to become a loser, contact a loser. The average income of 5 people from your environment, with whom you most often communicate, is the mental amount of your average income. If you want to earn more, look for mentors and a high-income environment. That is why the rich are not afraid to spend money and time on their training and education, as this is including the opportunity to meet more successful people than you, and, accordingly, this is a direct opportunity for you to grow. That is why wise parents send their children to study at the most expensive universities, since people with an appropriate income level study at expensive universities and expensive courses. And since your environment determines you and your income, this is a direct path to growth. Poor people save on their education, while the rich learn from the best and regret investing neither their time nor money. Do not be afraid to get out of the grey crowd and go for something better. In conclusion, even with the least amount of money, you can lead a life full of intelligence and dignity. The choice is ours. You enjoyed this video, right? Our team will be very happy if you can like this video and share it with your friends on social media. Also, we have hand-picked other interesting videos like this. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel so that you won't miss other educative videos like this. We love you. Thank you.